Practical Faith. How you doing today, guys? Age is but just a number. We've heard it so many times, and you know what? I think a lot of dreams die or are not pushed through because of our age, or what we think this should be the appropriate age, or I'm too young and I'm too old. Now, let me just take you to the verse, and then it's going to make a bit more sense. And I think we've heard this so many times, but today, instead of letting your dream die, why don't you start chasing your dream? It's Exodus 7, verses 7. Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to the Pharaoh. So now you kind of know Exodus, they had to go speak to the Pharaoh. God tells Moses a lot of times, go, go, go. And Moses always makes excuses. I'm this, I'm that. They won't accept me. They want to kill me. You know, I think one translation says he stutters. I know in the NIV it says, but my lips are faltering. And he's always making excuses. And as an 80-year-old man and his brother's 83 years old, God says, go. And then I looked at the age, and the first thing that popped up when I read this verse, I'm busy reading through, and this just popped out. He said, but age is just a number. You know, let's look at it. Some people are very young when they do great things. Other people more in their golden years. I don't want to say old because it sounds so disrespectful, but they're in their golden years. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, the founder of Kentucky, KFC, was in his 60s, if I got it right, when he started his first Kentucky. And look where it is now. And it took me to another verse, and I'm thinking, okay, they were in the latter part of their years. They were doing quite well. I mean, these are people these are not young babies anymore. They're not young, fit men. They're in the more of the prime of their lives. But then it took me to all of a sudden, okay, let's go to the other side now of it. 1 Timothy 4 verse 12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity. It says here, Timothy was young when he led a church. Now, I've got a friend, wonderful, beautiful child of God. He's 24, 25 now, and he's leading a church. And let's be honest, he was called to a church, and one of the concerns he had is because he's young. And this was one of the verses that the Lord obviously spoke to him through. And he's doing a wonderful job there. As far as what I understand, he's doing a wonderful job there. And you know what? They're behind him. Because age is just a number. If the Lord puts something on your heart, go chase it. Yes, it might take time. I think a lot of times in our day, we want instant success. We start something now, tomorrow it must be done. It must be, it must have achieved 100 times more than what we thought. It takes time. And with Moses and Aaron, they were in the latter part of the years. They weren't spring chickens anymore. They weren't young bucks. But yet God chose them. And sometimes I wonder, why did God choose them? God could have chosen someone younger. Obviously Moses, let's be honest, Moses had a plan. We see from when he was born to now. But then I asked myself the question, Lord, why did you wait 80 years? You could have done this in 40 years. You could have done this in half the time. Why not wait in our day and age? I know that they lived till they were older than what we are generally now. I think the average living age now is 60, 70, where they live to much older. But even if you take it in that context, he wasn't a teenager anymore. He wasn't this young man full of energy, jumping up and down. But yet he had a purpose. He found every excuse, or tried to find every excuse to get out of it. But God said, no. What is God putting on your heart today? What has God told you today? And I don't want to look if you're 10, okay, maybe 10's a bit young, but maybe if you're 16, or if you're 60 years old. If God has set something on your heart today, maybe today is the day to start with it. Maybe today is the day you pray your first prayer and say, Lord, help me in this. Because you know what the Lord has put in your heart. Not always an easy battle. We're going to see that in Exodus. It's not always start something and tomorrow it happens. This was a battle. But we see the end results is well worth it. So that is just my motivation for the day, guys. Blessings.